it is Tuesday, March 21st. We just finished our Board of Supervisors meeting. We started at 9 o'clock with a lovely, the lovely choir from Richardson Elementary. So thank you so much for being here, and to Supervisor Scott for inviting them to come. I do think it changes the feeling in the room when we have young people here with music or showcasing their art in some way. And what my favorite image of the day was Supervisor Katie Dusenberry watching the choir right before she was given her award and acknowledgement of Katie Dusenberry Day, which is today in Pima County. So, and thank you to Katie Dusenberry and family for coming and letting us honor her. She deserves the accolades and the recognition. I mentioned during the board meeting that she's one of the few people, aside from my dad, but definitely the first woman that I know of that went through being board service on a unified district board and then being on the Board of Supervisors. And so it was really lovely to see her, and I'm so glad that we were able to celebrate her today. I also want to thank Chief Casmer and Mari Vasquez. If you go to our board meeting at about 9:45 is when he started his presentation and talking about what is happening in the city of Tucson and presenting the exact same presentation that our mayor and council for the city of Tucson are going to be receiving later in the evening. I think that this connection is incredibly important because many people, especially those that come just to our Pima County Board of Supervisors meeting, really don't know what the city is doing, and we are partners and they're doing a lot, and I'm so glad that he was able to come and basically talked about three main points that I thought was really important to highlight, that they have some criteria at the city of Tucson and with the police department. They have tier 1, which is kind of a trash complaint. No one is really living in that certain area, and this was the item that he was coming to speak about, was homeless and public safety. And so what he talked about is the fact that there are 3 classifications or tiers that the officers are responding to. And so sometimes when we call and have a complaint, or when we go through the process of complaining about a specific incident, we're frustrated that we don't have an immediate response. But he did mention that he's at under 900 officers. I believe the number was 857. And that is low. And we are the 33rd largest city in the United States, but we still have this really hometown feel, like, the old Pueblo. But he was quick to remind us that we have a significant problem in our community with fentanyl, and that the face of homelessness has changed. And who we see maybe when we're driving by and see an encampment or someone kind of walking around looking disoriented is someone that's usually dealing with substance misuse and mental health concerns. But what he's seeing more and more are people that really lost their jobs, and that housing was just very expensive. And most of the people that are on our streets today that are unhoused have been in Tucson for 6 years or more and have ties to our community. So this idea that people are traveling in and out and utilizing the resources that are here for our constituents and our community members, the people that we're discussing here are community members as well and deserve that same acknowledgement and support. And so let me talk really quickly about the tiers. It was tier 1 is trash, essentially. Tier 2 is occupied, but no one is really being harmed. It's just, complaints, what have you. Maybe in like off of a road somewhere, not really obvious to passersby, and then they have to assess the risk. And then tier 3 is occupied. There are reports of crime and there's risk of injury. That is where you're going to see officers respond immediately. So there were 500 overdose deaths last year, and what they're going to be implementing in June, I believe, is zone restrictions, which means if you are a business or a property owner, community member, there's a complaint that someone continues to sort of have an encampment or harass your patrons, makes it difficult for you to do your business, that there's going to be a process, but then that person will be restricted from being in that zone. So let's say the corner of Speedway and Alvernon. And if that person, there continues to be complaints, then the zone will increase. And Chief Casmore mentioned that the idea is to disrupt behaviors so people don't continue to fall into the same patterns, and so business owners and community members and property owners are not dealing with the same concerns by essentially the same person or persons. So I thought that was really good information. Thank you to the Tucson Indian Center and Director Jacob Bernal for your attendance. I think it made a difference in explaining how the contract for the Tucson Indian Center and Pima County came into existence. And I have some experience with that because we were both moved from one facility to another together with Pima County Teen Court. And so we were tenants of the Tucson Indian Center for some time. I want to thank Julianne Arechedera. She's a GIS cartographer with the Pima County Assessor's Office. Thank you so much for being here. And then we presented awards to small businesses, Crema Coffee, Arizona Construction Trades, and it was good to see my friend Damian Klinko representing Catalina In-Home Services. Thank you all for being here. Number 22, there were several calls to the audience about this item, and essentially it passed 4-0. But they are pass-through funds, which means that they are funds that were allocated because of a bed tax. And so the county doesn't have the discretion, the Board of Supervisors doesn't have the discretion to say, oh, well, I want to utilize this $3 million in a different way. No, we're very prescripted into and it's prescriptive into where we're going to allocate those funds. And so that was an item that passed 4-0 because of the explanation. And I do believe there will be a memo coming out shortly from our county administrator explaining that in more detail. And then we passed unanimously funding for the summer youth employment and the vendors that are going to be working with us. And the application to participate in the summer youth employment program is due on this Friday. And so after this little video, there'll be an image of the flyer. Please, if you know anyone who is interested between the ages of 14 and 18, I believe, then please, I'm sorry, it's 21 adults, so 14 to 21. Please go ahead and encourage them to apply. And then I did want to give a shout out. The Mariachi Conference is coming to Tucson April 19th through the 22nd. I'm going to be very involved in all of the activities because there's going to be some really great things happening. But if you'd like tickets, there's going to be a flyer at the end of this little video on how to get those and come out and support youth mariachi and mariachi music in Tucson. And then I want to thank all of the contestants of the D5 art contest. All of those submissions. Last year we received 123. That was the inaugural launch of the D5 art contest and what do you love about D5. And this year there were 317 submissions. All of the finalists have been selected. We had a panel of artists that came in both to narrow down the amount to the finalists, and then 3 of our community members and art experts to pick the finalists. That job was incredibly difficult, and I am so glad that I didn't have anything to do with it. I sat there and watched their process, but I was not a judge. I want to just be really clear about that. And we want to thank the 60 plus vendors and the 1,000 or more people that came to our Summer Youth Resource Fair, Summer Youth and Family Resource Fair. It was the first one that we've done here with D5, and we were so impressed with the number of people that came out to help get information, and I know that a lot of services were provided there, and so we're already talking about what it's going to look like next year, bigger and better. So thanks again. And then May is period poverty awareness, and so if you are out and about and can pick up a couple extra packages of sanitary napkins, tampons, cups, any of those, any sanitary product, we will collect them, and then we're going to have bins all over Tucson in our libraries and here in our offices. So we look forward to getting a lot of donations. And then our next board meeting is Tuesday, April 4th. It is spring break for Tucson Unified right now, and so I hope if your kids are home with you that you are enjoying some really quality time with them. Stay safe, my friends. Have a great day.